inspired by the Holy Spirit, the Holy Father, on the Feast of Our Lady of Lourdes 2018, signed the decree that made for all time the day following the great Feast of Pentecost a Marian Day. And it is quite logical that she should be honoured as Mother of the Church on that very day, given that Pentecost is, as it were, the birthday of the Church itself. And so, extending the thought of St. Paul VI, he took on board the teaching that Our Blessed Lady does carry us all in her womb, as it were, and that in engendering her Son we are somehow included. Theotokos, that one actually in Greek would be the birth giver of God, has a relationship with all to do with the Incarnation, and does not forget anyone who is to be redeemed in that process. She is our help, as we are reminded on this day, which happens also to be the old feast of Our Lady, Help of Christians, dear to the Salesian family. In that context, we can look actually to a strange vision that was given to their founder. St. John Bosco was, as well as being a great educator and a soul close to men, especially the young, a great mystic, and many things were shown him in visions, dreams. One is well known, that he could see that many of his own children or young men were in danger of going into the pit, and he was shown why. Bad books, bad company, bad habits. Now we can translate some of those into modern terms. The company can be virtual. The books can certainly be virtual. What are programs but living books? And habits, they can be also virtual. There are addictions, ways of using time and eating into the night, which are certainly bad habits. And the plethora of bad habits has become diversified and ever worse. And so he hit these head on, preemptive strikes. And we must do the same when we have little children in our hands, even for a short time. For instance, in confession, we must be one step ahead. For with one's whole life ahead of one, if one is not warned, one can also end up through these three causes in the pit. But he was also shown this other one concerning precisely Our Lady, Help of Christians, and protectors therefore of the Church. The Holy Father, in a great ship, going through very stormy waters and in great peril, but then guiding it safely between these two columns standing in the rough waters, one bearing Our Lady, Help of Christians on it in the form that he knew, and the other the Sacred Host. And that could be for our time, when in the interests, for instance, of a badly understood ecumenism, might be a prayer group where one Protestant is present, Our Lady, Help of Christians, gets a place in the ejector seat and is thrown out of the window, so that we may all have all things in common. And that is more frequent than we would like to admit. Many a prayer group, because of one or two non-Catholics present, has to go automatically to what is common to all, out of courtesy, lest anyone be upset, not asking whether Our Lady herself, and therefore her son, is perhaps a little upset in the process. The Blessed Sacrament too, in the years in which there was quite a bit of talk in the Vatican about the third secret of Fatima, the then Cardinal Pacelli became very nervous because he had an intuition of what the content of the words of the third secret might be. And he made unexpected pronouncements with regard to the future. The day will come when they will look in vain for the sanctuary lamp, and like Mary Magdalene, they will not know where the Lord has been put. Many a modern church has done just that. It's a modern form of Protestantism. I was actually, as a Protestant at the age of 13, without a single word, taught by something inside me when I went into the local Catholic church, the only one open in Llanelli, Cardiff, that the centre of attention was different and something could be felt there. That was not a loud sermon, it was something else. And in its own way, because there was no noise in the chapel or church, far more powerful than a loud sermon. And so it is that we actually realize too late that by pandering to others, we are losing what we've got. And what we've got is far more powerful than what others ever had. And others, when they're in their better minds, know it. Many Protestants have had the same experience. There's something about the tabernacle which even animals pick up. I have a picture actually of a dog gazing straight up at the tabernacle and not moving. He is a sniffer dog and has been taught to catch human presences that are hiding. Moreover, we do not realize that the Lord has given us a way of evangelizing which is far more powerful than that of just the man. It's the creation of a part of geography which is extraterritorial and exposes us to the realm of the angels. The story is told of the conversion, the baptism at Kiev, when the whole Slavonic bloc was coming on board and they wanted to know which form of Christianity to embrace. And legates were sent here and there, and they got to Constantinople and they had that experience of something angelic. And they came back and said, we did not know whether we were on earth or in heaven. And the reply came, that's the form of Christianity that we want to embrace. And so it is, if one wants to find something of heaven on earth, one goes not to the quickie, but to the place where time and attention and beauty and effort is given to the maximum possibility of mankind. And there we have a great evangelizer. Because when enclosed in an atmosphere of heaven, heaven has its language and its teaching. One is calmed down. One is moved and taught on the emotions about something that words can't quite formulate. And one understands things because God has space to teach. We can't do it quite as well. And so it is that right now one looks at the situation under lockdown, where so many constrictions have been given by the health authorities that we may no longer celebrate a high mass. And that will go on probably for a long, long time. And thereby we see how globally people will no longer be exposed to the great evangelizer of beauty. They will have quick celebrations. All that elevates mankind will be taken away, and the result will be, although sacramentally valid, aesthetically it will be less than a bad form of Protestant praise. Of course, the Lord is there, and He has ways and means of making up for it. But we've lost what we have a right to. And so it is that in this week also, when we remember great saints of prayer and worship, St. Bede, St. Gregory, St. Philip Neri, we see how the saints understood, and indeed the likes of St. Philip Neri understood physically, for he was not in a hurry. When he started to celebrate, even though his was not sung on a weekday, he took 2 hours, about an hour of which was spent in ecstasy, sometimes off the ground. He too knew how to work on what worked. He caught the youth. He also caught the adults through beauty, created by singing together, and also by getting great giants like Palestrina on board to create not the quickie, but the maximum for the King of Kings.